Beat 'em ups. You know, it's kind of crazy seeing this genre make such a return to the gaming space. I mean, within the last few years, arcade-style 4-player co-op focus action is back in the mix. Games such as Streets of Rage 4, River City Girls, Fight Rage, and you even had Capcom drop the Beat 'em Up Classic Collection on all modern platforms. These type of games were really big in the 90s, but it kind of fell out of the mainstream for a very long time. But now that the genre is back in relevancy, let's talk about one in particular that everyone was raving about, Shredder's Revenge. Let's get into it. So if you saw the last episode of my retro review series, link in the description, you know in preparation for this game's release, we took some time to look at Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time, both games being considered classics amongst the beat 'em up fans and turtle fans alike. Now personally speaking, when it comes to the Ninja Turtle games, I've only had experience with a few, with Platinum Games' Mutants in Manhattan being the latest one, but considering how many games are out there for this franchise, you can say that the Turtles have a pretty good place in the gaming world. Now Ninja Turtles as a franchise, I can't say that I'm the biggest fan. Not because it's bad or anything, I just never got into it growing up. When you look at TMNT today, there's so much to get into. You got the comic series, tons of merchandise, a show on Nickelodeon which seems to be really popular with kids nowadays, and cameos in fighting games like Injustice 2. I think the last time I watched anything Turtles related was the live action TMNT movies that came out in 2014 and 2016, which I thought were fun watches to be honest. So fast forward to March 10th, 2021. .emu revealed TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and man were people hyped for this one. It was almost like the Ninja Turtles was going back to their roots with all the things people who grew up with the series, especially the games, were looking for. The original 80s voice actors were back. T. Lopes was on the soundtrack. Ghostface and Raekwon from the Wu-Tang Clan were also dropping bars for the project. Everything was looking amazing. So how about the game itself? Well, let's get into it. In the driver's seat this time, we have Tribute Games and published by .emu. Now, Tribute Games is a development studio formed by former Ubisoft employees who, to my surprise, worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the movie tie-in game for the TMNT movie that was released in 2007. Not sure if this team had any involvement with both versions of that game, but when looking at the GBA version, I can definitely see some similarities to what we have now. Now, Shredder's Revenge has a couple modes to choose from: story mode, arcade mode, and of course you can start an online party for a multiplayer session. The game is rocking a nice pixel art aesthetic, and one thing that I love is high quality 2D sprites, and this game delivers that. Even when it comes to the levels and stage design, very high quality visuals that is definitely bringing home that arcade feel. The music for this game. Man, the music, it is fantastic. T. Lopes is quickly becoming one of my favorite composers in this space. So many amazing tracks and it definitely took me by surprise. Make sure you guys support T. Lopes by streaming the soundtrack over on Apple Music and Spotify. Great stuff. Now, as the thumbnail suggests, I play through the game mostly as Leonardo. There's just something about those 20 katanas. There are multiple characters to choose from. Of course, you have the 4 main turtles, but we also can play as Master Splinter, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones, which is a nice bonus for those who are fans of those characters. Now, story-wise, it's essentially the same as Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time. Bebop, Rocksteady, and others who are working for Shredder is going to steal the Statue of Liberty. Now, I don't know if this is something that's an ongoing gag in the show, the comics, but what is up with the obsession with the Statue of Liberty? Maybe I'm missing something, but why is the Statue of Liberty such a big deal to Shredder? Maybe I just need to go back and read the source material of the comics or watch the series because I don't get it, but it works. The gameplay. The controls are very similar to the TMNT games of the past, but definitely feels more refined. I also love the fact that we have different combos and super moves to pull off, giving Shredder's Revenge a kind of a fighting game feel. I also like the fact that there's a leveling system, so not only does your character get stronger, but you also unlock new moves to play around with as you progress. Now the multiplayer. It can get extremely chaotic. It was so much to the point that I would lose my character in all the madness. I would say if you're going to play this with a party, keep it at 4 players max, because any more than that, it just becomes overwhelming and hard to keep up with. So when you're not hacking and slashing, you are surfing the skies and the streets. These sections were actually some of my favorite in Turtles in Time, so seeing these stages make a return is awesome. I also love the enemy variety. There are so many different foot soldiers who hold different weapons, and how you approach them has to be a little different, so just be on the lookout. The boss battles are pretty fun, and one thing that I appreciate is how enemies can damage each other. Friendly fire, as you should say. The boss fights are very reminiscent of the ones from the classic arcade game, and I will say these fights are challenging by yourself, but with friends and party members, These bosses go down with ease. Now, as much as I love this game, there are a couple things that I wasn't too fond of. First off, even though I enjoy the overall aesthetic of the levels, they can feel a bit repetitive and also some overstate their welcome. I will also say, and I will say again, 6-player multiplayer, do not bother. It's too chaotic and I didn't find it any fun to play personally. Besides that, Shredder's Revenge is a fun time. Overall, listen, Shredder's Revenge is a great return to form for the TMNT team. The game looks great, the gameplay is fun, and this is a great way to get into the genre of beat-em-ups. And since TMNT is very popular with kids now, I hope this brings a new generation and new fans into a genre that I grew up with personally. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.